describe this building as revolutionary. Why is that?
This is the turn of architecture in the 20th century here in Huddersfield for the first time. You've got a modern building, concrete frame, in which the exterior is stripped, simple, pure and hovering above glass. It was built by the Co-op in 1936, designed by Johnson and Cropper of the architectural department. The Co-op moved out many years ago. It's changed hands several times. And it was bought by Kirklees Council in 2008 for over £1 million. Again, the idea was to redevelop the site as part of the new Queensgate Revival shopping centre. But with the bubble, it burst.
Any plans on the cards now for the building, or is it just standing derelict?
Mainly it's a home for pigeons. I think that use is getting a bit tired, so it's going to stand for some years yet. Hopefully the facade will be retained when the economic cycle comes round and it is redeveloped, because it is a very important site on the corner of the town centre, high above the valley. So as you come up Chapel Hill, you see this building looking very impressive. But as you get closer, you notice the dereliction. The Chapel Hill Junction is probably one of the nation's greatest cultural centres. An extraordinary assertion, I think. But then if you look at the art that's come from that corner, it's quite dramatic. T.S. Lowry painted Huddersfield from the top of the hill, from the Albion pub. The Sex Pistols played their last UK gig on Christmas Day 1977 at Ivanhoe's on that corner. The master of the Queen's music, Walter Powett, was born on that corner. The 1963 play Little Malcolm and his struggle against the eunuchs was set on that corner. You've got a dramatic modernist building by Johnson and Cropper, the Co-op building. And in the novel The Woodshed, the author's mother is described as having run over by an RAF truck in the blackout during the war. And they all happened on that junction, either as fiction or real events. But when you see the boring traffic lights and traffic passing, just think about the culture that's passed. The Edgerton mortuary chapels are listed buildings, and they're very Gothic in their style. There are two chapels separated by this rather dramatic spire. I think the symmetry of the Gothic design is rather impressive. As we walked in this afternoon, we could see the lantern and the spire, and through it you can see the symmetry in the buildings. It's really quite romantic. Kirklees Council sought to have development proposals for them in 2008. By early 2009 there were no proposals put forward, so they remain empty, unused, fenced off and decaying. The Civic Society asked if the trees growing from the superstructure could be removed, and that's been done. And I think the rotting vegetation that was inside has been removed, so that is a hope for it, to try and give it a few more years. But I'm afraid someone might be thinking of, if we just leave it as it is, it might just fall down. And I'm keen that this beauty of them in this lovely setting should be kept. For as long as the council wants to market test properties, then they're entitled to do that. But I think there comes a point when they have to realise that they have to find use for it for themselves. If it could be invested in by the council to turn it into art centres, galleries, cafes, recording studios, we have buildings around the town which need to be better cared for with more imagination.
Is it likely that the council will do any work on it, or is the cost too great?
There is a duty of care by the council to look after the chapels. They are listed, and the enforcement body is the council. So they have to take enforcement action against themselves, which they are usually reluctant to do. However, there are examples of mortuary chapels being used as design studios or galleries or cafes, and I think we ought to look at how we could adapt these three structures into one to make it a functional building. I mean, it could be a museum of architectural models, for example. It would seem appropriate.
In the current economic climate, is that likely to happen?
No, I don't see it for some time for that to happen. But that doesn't mean the superstructure shouldn't be maintained. It's a moot point as to what happens when a listed building collapses due to neglect. The owner can be fined for not doing due repairs.
And would the council be responsible for enforcing that action?
That is the normal standard of practice, though it can be enforced by others, by the Secretary of State can make others do repairs.
Is there anything that the public can do to help petition for further work to be done?
Yes, I think it's important that we all keep our eye on our listed buildings, whether they're in private hands or the council. We must preserve our heritage. We don't have to develop it, we just need to keep it in a state that is standing.
How long do you think this building will stay standing?
Well, it's falling down all the time. Yeah, I'm sure you will have seen some of the parapets that's now crashed to the ground. The tiles are off the roof, and once the water gets in, the roof hasn't got long.